There we go. Back on. Welcome, everyone. You guys just witnessed Sean Lang playing one of his own creations from a band that he likes to call, well, this is your own stuff, 7 Year Storm?
7 Year Storm.
Beautiful. What was that song called, by the way?
It's called Toadish Darkness.
Crazy.
It's a Stephen King reference.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Welcome, everyone, to a live lesson. It's a Monday lesson. There's a lot of people here today.
Sweet.
And so no pressure or anything, Sean. But it's going to be a good lesson. Today we're talking about how to develop speed around the drum set, something that everyone needs to practice all the time because, like Sean says in the actual sheet music here, in fact, it was actually a pretty good quote. You said, speed is all about being prepared to play any combination you can think of spur of the moment. And I don't know if you guys were watching before the lesson, Sean, you were doing just how you get a click track going, and you're just doing some basic hand-to-feet combinations all around the kit.
Just trying to trip myself up, and it wasn't very hard.
But it's a lot of fun, and I can
Totally.
tell like the value of that kind of practice. It's crazy. So if y'all don't know Sean, he's one of our instructors on Drumeo. He does some of the live lessons with us daily. He also is involved with the Bass Drum Secrets. You play Axis pedals. What else? You play Casey drums.
I play Casey drums. This isn't my kit, but it sounds just as nice actually. And I play Los Cabos drumsticks.
Beautiful. And you also play for the band First Rain.
I do.
Excellent. So, guys, that being said, we are going to give away some free stuff today as well. And to do that, go to facebook.com/Drumeo. Like the page. If you haven't already, like us, please. And we're going to be asking a very basic question today. Because it's developing speed, I want to know what song you guys practice to work on your speed. I know when I was practicing a lot, back in the day, I used to practice a lot of No Effects. There was a song specifically called The Decline I used to practice. It's great for developing speed. Double bass, Dragon Force, anything like that. What about you? Any kind of speed songs that you practice?
There's a song by Decapitated that I've usually used to kind of practice my more mid-tempo double bass because it's a completely different muscle group. And that song is called Spheres of Madness. A lot of people are probably already familiar with that. It's a pretty classic death metal tune.
Cool.
It always tends to be metal for me. If I'm practicing speed, it's, I'm just going to be playing metal. But and then for faster stuff, a couple good tracks on the latest Faceless album. That was pretty good for that.
Awesome. Yeah. So I would love to hear what you guys practice to develop speed. I'm sure there's a couple songs. And if you don't, maybe just put some songs down into that you practice to on a regular basis. Post that on our wall, facebook.com/Drumeo. And during the lesson, I'm going to pick some random people. We're going to give away a pair of drumsticks. We're going to give away a Drumeo t-shirt. And we're going to give away 2 month-long trials for Drumeo, which is awesome because we get
huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big. You get lessons every single day from instructors like Sean, me, Jared. There's a bunch of others in there as well, and it's just a ton of fun. Members who are watching right now, make sure you get your questions in right away. Monday lessons are always so full and busy that we rarely get a chance to get through all of them. Download the sheet music as well. That being said, Sean, take it away.
Yeah, so developing speed around the kit. This is just one way of many, and this is actually pretty. It's almost in blocks of either 8th notes or 16th notes. So this is just one way of many, and this won't cover all the bases, but it definitely gets you started. So we've got 4 patterns. First one is actually first off, there's 2 groupings for each pattern. There's the top and the bottom, or 1 and 2. So 1 to start off with, we play it on the toms, and 2 we play on the snare, and we'll kind of play around with that and swap that up. But that's just to kind of give us a basis of 2 separate groups that we're playing with to try to cover all of the bases for different things to hit. And that's really what's going to help you to kind of increase your speed on the kit, is to basically getting used to hitting lots of different things in different places that maybe you wouldn't normally do. But every now and then, like everyone's probably had this, you're playing a song and this awesome feel comes into your head and you try to do it and you just totally bomb because you've never done it before, and you've never ever maybe tried to cross over, or you've never tried to reach this really, really high crash. Who put that up there?
Yeah.
This really high crash, and then also come over, with a little splash over here or something. So it's all about kind of preparing your body to do different motions and also to do them up to speed with everything else.
Well, I noticed already, like, I'm looking at the sheet music here, and it's notated on the 2 toms, the top tom and the bottom tom, when you got the 1 and 2 there. So obviously, you're not just playing those on these 2.
No, see, if you look at the first exercise there, and then over top of that, we've got 8 different variations which you're going to play with. So it says 1 on toms and 2 on snare. So if you look at that exercise, the top row is going to be the tom, and the bottom row is going to be the snare. Mm-hmm. And it's not just 1 tom, it's going to be all the toms. So we'll start simple, and then we'll start mixing it up a little bit, and then, start from there.
Perfect.
simple, but we all start somewhere. So some of you, you're probably going to be way beyond this. You're like, this is boring. That's fine, because it's going to get more complicated as we go on. So now we'll start mixing up the toms a little bit. Did I get it?
Almost.
So for me, this is the first exercise, but for me, the most difficult part is going from the tom and back over and not having my sticks click. I got lucky that time, but that's something that I would definitely practice. I would probably just sit down, and it might seem a little bit mundane, but you will get a lot better very, very quickly. So it's like this.
That's a nice flam at the end.
It's a kick and splash flam. It's pretty high level.
Yeah, pretty advanced.
Yeah. So and as you kind of noticed, as I went up to speed and got faster and faster, I got out of my comfort zone, started getting really, really messy, and so that's probably where I would practice most of the time for that one, which is why I took into a groove at about that tempo, and I just tried to throw it in and get it to a point where I wasn't really choking myself up. Because if I try to do that, and it's going to sound really great in the song, but I totally bail, the entire band's going to look at me, or maybe they're going to stop, or they're going to screw up, and that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So let me catch my breath, 2 seconds, and we'll move on. The next variation of this is going to be toms and cymbals, just to kind of throw it around a little bit, because when we're doing when we're trying to get around the kit and we're trying to do it fast, it's not always just going to be toms. Sometimes it's going to be cymbals and drums. Sometimes it's just going to be cymbals even, and so it's really good to get used to throwing around between the cymbals and the toms so that you don't just have these really one-dimensional fills like this. If you throw in a little bit of cymbal in there, it spices it up quite a lot, right? So we'll just experiment with a few cymbals in this beat here. Man, I'm so out of breath right now. Kind of sounds like a toddler on the drums, but it actually really increases your dexterity around the kit.
Well, I was actually going to say, and most of the times when I'm hitting the crashes, I'm usually kicking, but this is an exercise just on developing your speed and stuff, right?
Your speed and your movement around the kit.
One thing I was going to say is there's no kind of rhyme to reason of what you're doing. You're just kind of improvising and choosing the cymbals and toms to hit. Is it better to do that, or maybe in your mind should you set up a pattern? I'm going to hit hi-hats first, toms second. Like, what would you suggest for something like that?
That's a good point. What I'm doing is I'm just completely improvising and going around the kit, and it kind of goes both ways, because if you develop kind of a routine and you hit everything, well, you get really good at that routine, but you might not really get that great at thinking outside the box, because you're only used to hitting the splash after it comes after the high tom, and so on and so forth. So I'm more of the kind of abstract field of thought. Just go for it, and as long as you're splitting it up, kind of like the exercise states, you're going to be doing good. Even if you've got a routine, it's going to be good, but you're going to kind of get used to, it's going to be like a beat rather than an actual exercise.
Cool.
That's my take on that.
Cool.
So the third variation is toms and snare on the on part 1 of the beat, and bass drum on part 2. Remember part 1 and part 2. So it's going to be like this. I'm playing it with a. Is it on?
Yeah.
I can't tell. I'm playing it with a double pedal because it's habit. Now we'll do it with a single pedal.
Perfect.
Also gives your foot a workout too.
Totally.
So it's great.
And you can even do that with your left foot too once you're, if you really want to challenge yourself, I guess, eh? I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was
No, I had to challenge myself.
Yeah, for sure. Just to let everybody know, this is just exercise number 1. We're going through all the different variations, which are the bullet points on the sheet.
Yeah.
Just in case you weren't sure where we were.
Yeah. So now on the 4th variation, we're just going to bring in the cymbals. So it's going to be tom, snare, and cymbals on the first part, and the still kick on the second part. So here we go. And actually, this is where I start to draw a lot of my fills from when I'm playing in First Rain or any sort of the metal stuff. I like to really mix up, add a splash or a ride bell in the middle of a tom or in the middle of a hand and foot combination. It sounds pretty cool. So. Gets pretty hectic pretty fast, but it's a lot of fun. If you can hold on for a while, it's good.
Cool.
So, 5th variation. This is going to be, again, part 1. We're going to be improvising around the full kit, so just snare, toms, cymbals. Actually, sorry, not cymbals, that's wrong. It's going to be snare and toms. And then part 2 is going to be kicks and cymbals in unison. So this is where it gets pretty fun, because whenever you're hitting a cymbal, and it's going to be two cymbals, so it's going to be cymbal, 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 cymbal. You're also going to be hitting the kick. So it brings in a new element of coordination. It can feel really, really like you're almost being pulled around by the beat. It's kind of fun.
I can see that one giving you some of the most workout because your hands are constantly moving
all the time,
and you'll always want to speed up. But the thing is, you got to remember, you got to hit those cymbals at the same time.
And you were probably watching me. I was getting into a groove like sweet, and I got overconfident, and then I changed something up, and then I lost it. Which means this is a really good exercise because I'm finding things that make me uncomfortable, which means I should practice those. Mm-hmm. So when you're doing exercises like this, there's actually 2 things to watch out for. These are both good things. One, if something gives you trouble, you should probably practice it more. So it's kind of a magnifying glass into your playing because you're like, wow, if I get good at this, I can make some really cool sounding beats or some really cool sounding fills or grooves or whatever. And another thing is just throwing random stuff around the kit, you'll actually find some combinations that you might really like. And if it's something that you really like, just kind of really groove on that for a while. Make it one of your fills kind of pulled into your repertoire. It's a good way to kind of almost stumble upon. It's like looking under rocks and finding extra stuff. You know, it's like, oh, I didn't know that was there. I'm gonna keep that. You know,
Totally.
So it's pretty cool.
Totally.
Variation 6 is just going to be the same thing but flipped around. So kicks first and everything else full kit afterwards, or kicks and cymbals and full kit afterwards. This we don't really need to do. It only really will make a difference in the context of music because the kick's going to be coming first and then the cymbals are going to be coming second. So we could probably just blaze over that one and go to variation number 7.
One thing I would say about the last one you just talked about, when you're practicing that, like a lot of these exercises that you're practicing, you're not using a click to it.
No.
You're kind of just doing it at your own tempo. And this is probably a great question in general too, is where do you kind of start? Do you want to start slow and speed it up? Do you want to practice with a click? Because I know with number 6 variation number 6 and 7, 5 and 6, they're so similar that without a click, they wouldn't really matter, right?
Yeah, exactly. It all depends on context, and you should be practicing these things with a click. For time constraints, we're not going to bother switching between slow and fast and slow and fast. But it's actually going to do you a lot of good practicing it first comfortably, getting used to throwing it around, and then maybe upping the speed a little bit and getting used to throwing that around, even playing it slowly. There's almost 3 levels of playing. Your comfort zone, which is, it's great to play in your comfort zone, but playing slower than your comfort zone, it's a whole other ballgame. It's like being really, really uncomfortable. It's like you haven't eaten a meal all day. And then speeding it up as well. So you should play around with your tempos for sure, because building speed is one thing, but then also making it solid. You're not always going to be playing really, really fast. Believe it or not, most people don't want to hire the death metal drummer. So, that being said, yeah. Number 7?
Sure.
So basically, variation 7 is just going to draw on all the other variations. We're basically going to throw in a kick and a crash on 1 and 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll show you how that looks. We'll do it with we'll mix that with the first variation. So 1 on toms and 2 in snare, and we'll do the kicks and crash on 1 and 3, just to make things really confusing with these numbers. There goes my stick.
And that was at slow tempo.
That was slow.
So we're
Another where that came from.
there we go. So that was on kick on 1 and 3, or kick and crash on 1 and 3.
Kick and crash on 1 and 3, exactly. And there's going to be a lot of times where in a fill you might want to accent a musical part that maybe the bass player is doing, or keyboards or something like that. And it's great to kind of throw a crash in there, but you have to be able to. You have to know what that's going to sound like and throw it in there and be prepared before you do it. Otherwise, it just might sound like a total train wreck. So again, this is all about musical preparation. So the next one is going to be kick and crash on 2 and 4. So we'll try that. And again, that was just me exploring the tempo and kind of throwing it around.
So for the last two, are you just basically choosing one of the other variations and then throwing in a kick and or crash on 1 and 2 or 3 and 4?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this starts to sound a little bit more interesting when we get into the other exercises here. Cool.
So that's a really good example. Again, those were all just on number 1. We went through all 8 variations of number 1. Now, before we get into the numbers 2, 3, and 4, because that's when it gets really challenging, adding in 6 to 8 notes, and you can even do triplets and stuff in here. You can
You can have a lot of fun.
You can have a ton of fun with this. But before we continue, I just want to give away a couple things. So that being said, guys, go to facebook.com/Drumeo, and I just want to know, what kind of music do you guys practice to develop speed? And I said before, I do a lot of no effects. Actually, I did a lot of Blink. Blink is a great band for
Great for the right hand.
Great for the right hand. And then if you really want to challenge yourself, play it open style. But I got quite a few people already. So, and I like how what Jared does. Jared chooses a couple letters, and he asks you to choose one of these letters, and that's the name that I'm going to choose. So we've got D, M, and R.
M.
Mike Pinaveria. Mike Pinaveria likes to play along with Tool, Lateralis. My preference, but any song will do. You play a lot of Tool.
I haven't played it for a while, but actually the other day I was at the gym and I was listening to Tool, Lateralis, and I'm like, where has this album been for the last 5 years of my life? Because I listened to it nonstop every day in high school, and then I just kind of put it on the shelf.
Totally.
Such a good album. I love
Tool,
that album.
it's great. It's a classic album.
Danny Carey's a monster of a player.
Yeah, totally. So, Mike Pinaveria, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but email me, dave@drumeo.com. You have got a pair of drumsticks, and I will send them to you right away. Next, I'm going to give away a shirt, just a Drumeo shirt, just black one like this. It is short sleeve. Okay, so I've got, let me try another one here. Okay, I've got L, I've got N, and I've got C.
Let's do L for Lang.
L for Lang. Okay, Lee Morris. Just getting back into drumming after 15 years of time off. Working on City on the Hill by Casting Crowns. This website has greatly improved my drumming. Awesome, Lee. Lee Morris, you want a Drumeo shirt? Just email me, dave@drumeo.com, with your size and your address, and I will get one shipped to you. And we have some Drumeo memberships that we're going to give away at the end. So, guys, do not go away, and let's get back into it. Now let's go through numbers 2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. All right. So, it might be a good idea, since there's a lot to get through here. We'll try different variations on different exercises, but we might not do every single one. So
yeah,
let's try exercise 2, and we'll just start with the first variation. So actually, before I'll break it down. So we have a group of 16th notes, and then a group of eighths, group of 16ths, and a group of eighths. The 16ths are all on part number 1. The eighths are all on part number 2. You know, they're segmented, just as we discussed before. So first variation is part number 1 will be toms, and part number 2 will be the snare. This is a fun little one. You're doing little bursts of speed everywhere, and I was actually trying to do some cross sticks, or not some cross sticks, some crossovers.
I was actually going to mention that, yeah.
Just to throw myself off, yeah. And I did.
Nice.
So next one will be 1 on toms and cymbals, 2 on the snare. Actually, you know what? We'll skip over that. We will do 1 on toms and snare, 2 on bass drum.
Again, you're playing that with double bass.
Now we'll do single. Force a habit.
Yeah, fair enough. I just thought I'd bring it up. I noticed that it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is good to practice with one as well.
Absolutely. So let's try exercise 2. We'll do with variation 4 as well. So 1 on the tom, snare, and the cymbals, 2 on the bass drum. really have a lot of fun with groups of 4. One of my favorite patterns comes out of it, and it's basically either an accent on the first right and then left right, and then an accent on the left, or instead of an accent, just another drum. So you get this kind of almost a triplet feel. It's almost like you're going triplet, triplet, triplet. You're going triplet, and then you're pulling another triplet. So it's like this. This is fun.
Show us some cool fill ideas that you can do with beat and fills using that kind of those not triplets, but the 60 note groupings of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fill ideas. Well, I'm going to play a beat, and I'm just going to throw that into a fill.
Perfect.
Not necessarily like this exercise, but we'll just throw that little group of 4 in.
Sure. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. All stuff that you obviously need to work up to get to that speed, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's all about comfort zone, and yeah. So let's see. Number 2, and we will do on the full kit with 2 on the bass drums and the cymbals in unison. So this one's fun. I love it. Fred says, can't decide whether his speed is demoralizing or motivating. It's good. You got to work your way up to that speed, and these exercises are great for that. So speed, it can be impressive, but once you start getting there, you realize there's not really a whole lot to it except for just muscle memory and repetition. So it should be motivating. It's not really, yeah.
You set goals for yourself too.
Yeah, it's like training. You're not going to get big muscles unless you lift the heavy weights. You're not going to get fast unless you start practicing and going up. So,
cool. Let's do number 3. I want to see some number 2s on the bass drum.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
This is where it gets fun. So number 3, for all of the variations on the bass drum, either you've got a godly right or left foot, or you're going to want a double pedal. So we can do the really slow speeds with a single pedal, but I think we'll just skip over that and we'll just do a little bit faster with the double pedal.
Cool.
It's also a great way, actually, to practice the consistency and the balance of your double pedal, because you're just doing it in bursts of 4. So if you're a new double bass player, this is actually a great exercise for you, and it will actually totally increase your coordination around the kit and your hand-to-feet combos. So do it.
Awesome. Which one is this? Number 3 with what variation?
We will do what to choose.
Can we do 1 on tom and snare, 2 on bass?
We'll keep it simple and do that.
Beautiful.
Yes. That's variation 3, by the way.
Cool.
So that's a fun one. And as you can see, I started out with an exercise, and then I realized I stumbled upon a little bit of a groove, so I started grooving on that for a while. At the same time, working out both my feet, and had a new groove to add to my arsenal.
Perfect. Quick question. I just saw this one in the chat or in the questions here, so I thought I'd ask it. Is the kick trigger today? This is from Viking.
No triggers. This thing's clean.
Beautiful.
Not that it was dirty, but
No. But I just thought I'd get that out of the way. Let's continue.
sweet. Triggers always come up.
Yeah.
We will do beat 3 or exercise 3, and we will do it on. We'll do variation 4 as well because the cymbals spice things up a bit.
Beautiful. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have about close to 20 minutes left. I still have some stuff to give away. We got to go through number 4, and I would love to do another play along if that's possible.
Sure.
So can we maybe just jump on to number 4?
Number 4. This is the metal exercise, pretty much.
Yeah.
This one's fun. Yeah, we'll do a couple of variations of number 4, starting with just the first variation. We'll keep it basic. So it's all 16th notes. That's why it's the metal one. There you go. Not too far, or not too hard to stray off and get mixed up, which is why it's a great exercise. We'll get to the one that everyone wants to hear, which is variation 3. Part 1 on toms and snare, part 2 on the bass drum. And this is also kind of a staple death metal sort of fill, where it's basically just like pure aggression. It's hands, feet, hands, feet. I'll show you. Barrage of 16th notes.
Crazy. Cool. So you can basically, guys, take these exercises with you, and this should be something in your arsenal of practice exercises now. I would say so. And just practice with any one of those variations on any one of those exercises, compile them. Me and Sean were actually talking before the lesson because he wanted to talk about putting different sticking patterns over top of that and going into triplet variations, which you can easily do. But if we have time at the end, we'll kind of discuss that. But I want to show what kind of speed you can get with one of your play-alongs. You have one loaded up, ready to go?
I don't, but we can load that up.
Load that up. While you're doing that, I'll just ask another quick question from you. And this is a question really quickly from Captain Kickars. Actually, this is from Ann Lott, but Captain Kickars asks it. It says, what is a good double pedal for a beginner? What would you suggest is the best double pedal for a beginner drummer?
You don't need any bells and whistles. You definitely don't need an Axis pedal or anything too high-end from any pedal maker. So most pedal makers will have something within the $200 to $250 price range, and some of them will even have a double chain and a solid footboard, or not the actual footboard, but the floor plate. Mm-hmm. That's what you want. Don't cheap out and go for $30 less and get the one with the wire foot or floor plate and the single chain. So a good one would be, I would say the DW3000, but it's actually kind of clunky. It's a well-made pedal, but it's sort of slow. There is a, what's it called? The model number is it's a Mapex actually, and it's like a 710, and it's a double pedal, and it's like $220, I think, $220, $230. Canadian, might be cheaper in the States. double chain, solid floor plate. Plays really nice for the money.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so.
Cool. All right, let's hear it. What song is this one called?
Well, if we're going for speed, we're going to do a First Rain song.
All right.
And this one, the Drumeo guys would have heard this a few times now. This is going to be Severed Inception. And actually, I don't know if I have the play along. Do I have the play along here? I don't. They might have to cue it up.
Oh, we might not have time for that.
If we don't have time for that, then we'll pick
Just
something else.
Do one of your...
Or I'll play along to the song with... Hold on a sec here.
We got 3 month-long trials for Drumeo that I'm going to be giving away. 3-month subscriptions. So you guys make sure you get your posts in facebook.com/Drumeo. Like us as well. You got it coming?
We'll go with a 7-year story. Mine won't be as fast, unfortunately.
Sure, that's okay. Your fills are very cool anyway, so it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. Technical difficulties, everyone.
It's only one channel. You have that?
Yeah. We're only getting it from one ear. That's why. There we go. Oh, almost.
It's the adapter here.
Finicky wires. You think?
Bear with us.
You think with all the cameras we have,
we'd
be able to buy a nice cable?
Here we go.
There we go. I wouldn't touch it, man. I would just leave it. Yeah. When is that album coming out, by the way?
I don't know. We're going to be tracking it sometime this summer, so I would say probably early fall.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. That's all your stuff. You wrote everything from that, right?
I write it all, and then I hand it to guitarists, and then they whine about why is it so hard?
Why is it so hard? Yes.
And why is this written like a drummer wrote it? Yeah.
Why is this exactly? Cool. So let me just continue where we left off, and before we get into the last giveaways, let's do some questions. Is that all right with you?
Sure.
Cool. Now, usually we get a chance to get through all the questions on a live lesson, but because Monday ones are so busy and so full of play-alongs and giveaways and stuff, we only have time for a few. So I definitely apologize. Very quickly, though, Greg Patterson wants to know, what heads do you recommend? Which Evans heads do you recommend for metal?
For metal, for Evans heads, I would say either the regular G2 clears that are on here. Clears tend to be brighter, which you want in metal when everyone's going full tilt, so they'll stand out a little bit more and give you that metal sound. Or if you want a little bit of a duller tone, not necessarily duller, but just not as much overtone and not as much guesswork in the tuning, then I would go with the EC2s. They're a little bit more expensive. There's a little ring that kills the overtones, makes them easier to tune. They don't have as much resonance, which is sometimes also good for metal because you don't want a drum that's singing out while you're doing a big long fill or something like that.
Cool. Charles Gleason quickly asks, "Hey, I noticed before the lesson you're doing some double strokes. Any advice on how you can speed up double strokes? I struggle with them." Actually, before you get into that, we'll leave that one because on Wednesday, if you come out on Wednesday, Charles, we're doing a whole lesson on how to develop your double stroke roll speed. So definitely come out for that one. It's an intermediate lesson, but it's going to be a ton of stuff in there for you.
Good.
Chris says, "Hey, Sean, I noticed you hold your sticks pretty far back, almost at the end. Does that help you with your balance when you're using to reach double pedals?"
You know what? My kit setup, this actually, I didn't really set this kit up, so this isn't my normal setup, but I like to have the bass drum farther away, which usually means me sitting farther back. And so I've always gravitated towards longer sticks. Like these are the Los Cabos 5A Intense, so it's basically half an inch longer than a regular 5A. So I'm already going for a longer stick, and then I always tend to hold the sticks far back. And that's mainly just for metal when I'm really trying to get around the kit. The extra length comes in handy. It might tire me out a little bit more because I'm pushing more weight around, whereas the average drummer is going to hold their sticks more like that. If I'm grooving, chances are that's how I'm holding my sticks, but if it gets intense, they start to slide back, and it's mainly just to help me get around the kit because I don't like to be reaching around. On my own kit setup, I have everything really close, so I just like to basically, this is the only way I want to move.
Yeah, it's just almost like a pivot.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't even want to, I just want my, basically, wrists to do the work. That's why there's been a huge influx of YouTubers lately commenting on how I look like a robot when I play because there's no emotion and I'm just like, but that's the way I like it. In
the Drumeo community, we call you a machine. You're not a robot. You're a machine.
I have no feelings.
Yeah, I have no feelings.
So don't, yeah.
Captain Bob says, "Is it wise to play faster and faster until you feel the burn without losing control of your hands or until you reach your controlled speed?"
Your control speed is going to stay the same unless you feel the burn. The burn is you're straining your muscles, and that's also the feeling of progress. If you've got a good burn on the next day, that's good. It's kind of like going to the gym. Again, another exercise reference. But if you're feeling that burn, that's new muscle tissue being ripped, and it's going to grow. So you definitely want to feel the burn, and even if it gets really, really sloppy with whatever you're doing in speed, slow it down a little bit, but keep that burn there. That's good. That's progress. Excellent. In my experience, anyway. If it's like something really, really bad and like your leg starts bleeding or bruising or something, well then stop.
And then stop, exactly. We're not doctors here, guys. Don't take our medical advice.
Just drummers.
Yeah. Captain Kickar says, "When you are hitting several drums and cymbals, what are you thinking in your head? When I speed up, I lose balance or count, etc."
That's a weird thing. See, I don't really think when I play anymore.
You're a machine, man.
I just feel, man. It's not really a thought process as much as I'm just trying to convey a feel, and the minute I start thinking about what I'm playing, I lose it. So it's all about adding things to your repertoire, things that you're comfortable with that will just sort of come out. Like when we're talking, we're not necessarily thinking, okay, next word I'm going to use is what, and then I'm going to use is, and then your, and then name. Like when you say what is your name, you don't plan out every single word. You just say it. It just comes out. So it's going to be the same thing with drumming. If you're thinking about everything that you're playing, you're probably going to lose it because you're thinking too hard. And that's where practice comes in, and that's where actually these exercises come in. As you kind of get used to throwing stuff all over the kit, it becomes ingrained in you. It becomes muscle memory. Yeah.
Awesome. Shane says, should the snare and the floor tom be the same height to be able to move between them quicker? Very good question.
I've always preferred that. Yeah. For sure. If the floor tom's too high, for me anyway, I usually end up hitting the rim. Some guys like to have their floor tom as high as their toms. I think that's more of an old schooler sort of thing, where you have everything on the level. But I like to have it nice and low so I can just do crossovers. And again, it's this whole keep everything right here. I don't want to have to travel around too much.
Awesome. Michael Donald said, hey, Dave and Sean, can you please let us know what the number 1 and 2 mean on the left side of the sheet music? Thanks. So I guess he's talking about all the little 1s and 2s behind each one. If you want to quickly go over that.
That's what we're talking about. Like, if you look at the different variations, top variation says 1 on toms, 2 on snare. So it's basically just saying that in exercise 1, the top line number 1, is going to be played only on the toms. You're not going to touch the snare or the kick or anything, just the toms. And then line number 2, the bottom one, is going to be on the snare. Make sense? Mm-hmm.
It's a really efficient way of making 100 exercises, 1,000 exercises almost, just using four stats or 4 bars, right? Bobby Davis says, is there anything that you can do to work on when you're not around the kit or a pad that will help you with your playing and speed?
Everything is a drum. You can
totally.
Like you can go for days. So you just make sure that you're not next to someone who's going to hate you for it and throw stuff at you. But pads are good. Pillows are better. They're going to build up your muscles. The floor works for coordination. For if you're practicing speed, the floor isn't going to be as good. But for coordination, I can still practice, coordinated beats and syncopation and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I remember being in high school during class practicing polyrhythms. People got so mad at me. What are you doing? But it's always a time and place to practice.
I actually drum on my teeth in my mouth.
Really?
Like, I'll be walking around and I'll actually be grooving and no one knows and doesn't piss anybody off.
Oh, there you go.
And I'm not the only one. I was actually on Reddit the other day and there was an entire thread on mouth drummers. So.
Have you seen those shirts that actually have the drum sets on them and people tap them and they got a little speaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can always buy one of those shirts. I can't remember who's that. Was that, I think it was Bob Davis. Anyway, you can always buy one of those shirts too and take it wherever you go. Okay, so Michael Donald said, never seen this type of music reading before with the instructions on top of the page and the sheet music at the bottom. Am I missing something? We kind of just explained it too. It's just another way of getting thousands of ideas in all on 4
It's
bars.
just efficiency because these are such simple exercises when you get down to it that there's no reason to take up 10 pages writing it out.
Yeah. He also says Sean is an animal on the drums in the best kind of way. So there you go.
Thank you.
Jeff Wheeler, this is a great question too. Is there any benefit to using heavier sticks for practicing than I would usually do for performance?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that. A lot of guys, I would recommend using heavier sticks maybe on a pad. On your whole kit, you might end up doing damage. Like there's some pretty thick sticks you can get that really work your wrists, and that's a really great thing to do. If your body gets used to doing more work, then when it actually comes time to perform and there's not as much weight there and you don't have to do as much work, you're probably going to play better. Just don't make it such a drastic change that you're totally out of your element. Like I like the 5As, and if I were to go from playing this to playing a 7A, that would be too light for me, and I would probably my playing would probably suffer because of it. So you want to pick something that's not going to throw you off completely, but something that is going to work you a little bit better, which is why I suggest if you're practicing hand technique or rudiments, use a heavier stick, but when you're actually even practicing on your kit at home, just use regular sticks.
Excellent. Beamer says, would you recommend exercise 4 for the single pedal at slower speeds?
Single pedal, absolutely. Yeah, and if you're actually with something like swivel, for example, or heel toe, if you can get that kind of constant motion thing with heel toe, you could do it good. Like I've been today I was practicing swivel, so I could actually probably do this with the swivel technique if I'm.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I can actually do it today. So that wouldn't be too tough with the swivel technique, for example. Swivel, swivel.
Now, would you recommend, because for something like this, you'd maybe be going way too slow for your hands to get any workout. Maybe just do it with one hand.
Yeah, that's the thing is if you have it too slow, you might be working out your feet and it becomes a pedal exercise, but then the actual point of this is completely lost. So 2 separate exercises might be a better way to go.
Cool. Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Let's give away some stuff. And again, the question that I asked on Facebook was basically, what kind of music do you listen to practice your speed? What kind of songs do you practice along with? Let me just pull up my Facebook right here. Okay. This one, I'm going to choose a random one quickly. Nick Savard. I try to practice Painkiller by Judas Priest to improve with leg strength and endurance. Very cool. Nick Savard, email me, david@drumeo.com. You got yourself a free month of Drumeo.
Congratulations.
Congratulations is definitely in order. Okay.
Does he have access to the archives as well?
He does. Yes.
Sweet. So you've already got a month, 2 months worth of lessons.
It's lesson 79 tonight, I think. This is like lesson 79. So that's 79 hours of lessons in the archives that you guys can go through.
This whole Drumeo thing is awesome because I actually go to the archives and watch the other teachers and practice what they teach. It's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I know. I sit here and then when I'm done the lesson, I go back home and I'm like, okay, what was he talking about? I'm going to practice that.
So cool.
I'm going to pronounce this name wrong. I know it, but Noe Luna says practicing A Rising Thunder of Angra, power metal all the way. Very cool.
They get pretty fast. That would be a burner for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. NOE Luna, email me at dave@drumeo.com and I'll set you up. Last but definitely not least, in fact, I'm going to refresh my browser just so I get all the new ones in here. Okay. All right, here we go. Hopefully I'm not picking people who are already members. I have no idea. So here we go. I'm going to choose Maiko Tiger Hasiao. I am brutal at this, but Meico Tiger Hsiao. You have won. He listens to the Fox Hunt. It's a really fast swing, and it really boosts your speed around the kit.
Sweet.
Very cool. I'm going to have to look into that. Email me, david@drumeo.com. You got yourself a free month of Drumeo. And again, that's like, 79 hours of lessons already. Plus the whole month that you're going to have, that's an extra 20 some odd lessons, another 20 hours. So
you pretty much have thousands of hours of practicing that you already have to make up. So
yeah. But again, same time, don't be overwhelmed. I know a lot of people say, there's too many lessons, but they're all organized in a really well way.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have if you call that a problem. And that being said, Sean, thank you so much for coming out.
No problem.
It's a lot of fun. I always enjoy your play-alongs, and you're such a crazy drummer. So, guys, thanks for joining us all. Sean will be here again for actually another Monday lesson, I believe, in 2 weeks from now, and it's on the flat foot technique, or basically your technique on the bass drum, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you want to learn how Sean gets crazy speeds, definitely come up for that one. That's not going to be this Monday, but the following Monday. So I'll see you guys all out there. Everybody in the Drumeo community, I'll see you all tomorrow. We have Jason Cleaver coming in talking about essential drum gear. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Any last words?
I just came up with a great name for Jason Cleaver. That's all. I could probably call him the Drum Whisperer.
Ah, the Drum Whisperer. It's a very good name for him, actually. There we go.
No, he actually speaks to the drums. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
no,
for all you guys who don't know, Jason Cleaver is the creator of Casey Drums. He builds drums for a living. He knows, like you say, he's the Drum Whisperer, right? So come on out tomorrow. See you guys all there. Everybody else, thanks for joining us. I'll see you next week, Monday, for another live lesson.
Yeah.
Cheers.